program. Overview of writing task 1. 2 diagram questions. Problems. Analyzing the question. Writing the introduction. Organizing the answer. A sample question. You should spend about 20 minutes on this task. The graph and table below give information about water use worldwide and water consumption in 2 different countries. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. Write at least 150 words. What are the problems? Where to start? How to organize the answer? Where do I start? Step 1 is to analyze the question. Ask. Do the diagrams show quite different but connected information? Or, do the diagrams show closely related information? Analyzing 2 diagrams with closely related information. What are the main differences and/or similarities? Does one diagram give more of a general picture, and the other more detail? Which is which? A sample question. The graphs below give information about computer ownership as a percentage of the population between 2002 and 2010. And by level of education for the years 2002 and 2010. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features, and make comparisons where relevant. Write at least 150 words. Step 2, writing the introduction. A rephrasing of what both diagrams show. An overview for both diagrams. Any point of crossover/connection between the diagrams. Different but connected, water use diagrams. The 2 diagrams both depict data on the consumption of water. The line graph shows global water usage in agriculture, industry and homes from 1900 to 2000, whereas the table shows how much water was used for agriculture and personal use in Brazil and Congo. It is clear that there has been an overall increase in the use of water worldwide and that Brazil had far greater usage than Congo. Step 3. Organization of description of diagrams that are different but connected. Introduction. Body paragraph 1 data from first diagram supporting your overview. Body paragraph 2 data from second diagram supporting your overview. Conclusion, if time. Body paragraphs, a model. The line graph, which shows how much water was used throughout the world in agriculture, industry and domestically, clearly indicates a rise in usage in all 3 sectors. Agriculture used the most by 2000, having risen from about 500 cubic kilometers in 1900 to around 3,000 cubic kilometers. Although industrial usage was not as high as for farming, it grew more dramatically over the same period from just over 1 cubic kilometer to 1,000 cubic kilometers. Lastly, the domestic use of water also increased, although not as strongly, going from about 1 cubic kilometer in 1900 to approximately 200 cubic kilometers in 2000. The table shows a similarity in that water for agricultural use on irrigated land was greater than water use per capita in both Brazil and Congo. However, Brazil had about 7 times more land under irrigation per capita than Congo did. Yet, the water consumption per person was not so different in the 2 countries. Brazilians used about 2 cubic meters per person compared to around 1.5 cubic meters in Congo. A sample question. The graphs below give information about computer ownership as a percentage of the population between 2002 and 2010, and by level of education for the years 2002 and 2010. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features, and make comparisons where relevant. Write at least 150 words. Bar charts on computer ownership. Organization of description of diagrams with closely related information. Introduction with overviews. One body paragraph. A brief description of the more general data, that is the overall increase in ownership. A description of the increase in ownership as educational level increases. A description of any differences in the two trends. Conclusion, if time. Closely related information, introduction. The two bar charts both give data about computer ownership. The first diagram shows a gradual rise in the number of people with computers between 2002 and 2010. The second chart shows ownership in percentage in 2002 and 2010 by level of education. This also shows an overall increase, but also shows that the higher the level of education, the higher the percentage of computer ownership. Body paragraphs, a model. The first bar chart clearly shows the growth in the percentage of people who owned a computer between 2002 and 2010. In 2002, approximately 55% of the population had a computer. This increased gradually over each 2-year period to about 70% by 2010. This rise is mirrored in the second bar chart, where ownership is broken down by the level of education. In each of the 5 categories there was an increase in those owning a computer. However, this chart also demonstrates that in both 2002 and 2010 the percentage of computer owners was greater as the level of educational attainment increased. In 2002 only about 12% of those with no high school diploma had a computer, and this only rose to around 40% by 2010. By contrast, in 2002 around 35% of people who went on to college but failed to finish their courses had a computer. This grew to roughly 65% by 2010. The fifth and highest level of education on this chart, a postgraduate qualification, shows the highest percentages of computer ownership. In this category in 2002 close to 75% had computers, and this rose to over 90% in 2010. To summarize, are the diagrams showing different but connected information? If so, what is point of crossover or connection? Put this connection in the introduction and write 2 body paragraphs. Are the diagrams showing closely related information? If so, what are the main similarities, differences or changes? Put these main points as an overview in the introduction and write, generally, 1 body paragraph.